Hello everybody, my name is Professor Rich, and today we're talking about how to be polite in English. Today we're gonna learn real English phrases to be polite. We're gonna practice natural English pronunciation, and then we're gonna role play some authentic conversations using the polite language. I'm coming at you today from the cold country of England. The temperature has dropped and we are freezing right now. But you can see I'm in a festive mood. I'm wearing my Christmas jumper, and I'm ready to talk to you about polite language. So let's begin with a fun quiz as always. I want to know, is this polite, impolite, or weird? Look at the sentences 1 to 5. What do you think? Which of those are polite? Which are impolite? And which are weird? Type your answers in the chat. Or if you're watching this video later, you can pause the video now and try to do that exercise. Hello in the chat to Sleepwalker, Ashley Chen, Manuela Gordillo, Dreamer, Asmena, and Anawat. How are you guys doing? I will give you 1 minute to finish that activity. Which of these do you think are polite, which are impolite, and which are weird? When I say weird, I mean which of them sound strange? Which of them sound not like natural English? Which of them sound not like natural English? If you are watching this video, then try and smash that like button if you want to see more of these. If you smash that like button, you will get recommendations more from the channel. And if you really like what we're doing here, then subscribe. We do live streams on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Live streams on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So, here's your answers. Would you like a coffee? Polite. Could I offer you a tea or coffee? Polite. Do you want a coffee or not? Impolite. Could I trouble you to have a coffee? Weird. Take this and drink it. Impolite. So we have polite, polite, impolite, weird, and impolite. Okay, let's move on. Now we're talking about the bank, and we would like directions to the bank. Which of these sentences are polite, which are impolite, and which are weird? For this activity, you have 2 minutes. And I will try to use our famous timer, the famous Prof. Rich countdown timer, which is here somewhere. Is that working? That's not working at all. Ah, there it is. There she is. She's there. Look at my countdown timer, everybody. Isn't that lovely? Hello to Ragab. How are you doing, Ragab? Are you okay? Hello to Pure Care, and hello to Renit Dishuka. Nice to see you. Pure Care says, I always give tea or coffee for people who come to my house. Forcefully, by force. By force? What does that mean? Of course, it is the law in England that you must offer someone a tea when they come to your house. And if you don't, then the penalty for that is 40 years in prison. So you must offer tea to someone who comes to your house in England. That's the law. Okay, so we've got just 1 minute remaining, folks. What do you think? Which of these are polite, which are impolite, and which sound weird? I'll read them for you. We've got bank is where. Could you tell me where may be the bank? We're a bit lost. Could you perhaps point us in the direction of the bank? You wouldn't happen to know where the bank is, would you? And where is the bank? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which of those do you think sound polite, which sound impolite, and which sound weird? You have about 10 seconds left before I give you the answers. And hola or hello to Maria del Carmen. And hello to Takeshi Zero. Do remember to smash that like button, folks. Don't leave the like button hanging. If you smash the like button, you will get more recommends of videos like this. That's how YouTube works. So we're out of time. Bank is where. Sounds impolite and weird. Could you tell me where may be bank? Sounds weird. We're a bit lost. Could you perhaps point us in the direction of the bank? Is polite. I know it seems a bit wordy. Wordy. I know it sounds a bit wordy. I'll type that in the chat. Wordy, W-O-R-D-Y, wordy. It sounds a bit wordy, but it's okay. It's okay. It's quite natural. And you wouldn't happen to know where the bank is, would you? It's polite. It's good. And then where is the bank is impolite. So here we have impolite, weird, weird, polite, polite, and impolite. All right, let's move on to our next one. So this is a very common situation for speakers of other languages. Do you remember a time when you've been in a situation like this, talking to native speakers, and you don't quite understand what they're saying because they're talking too fast? They're talking too fast. So we need to ask them to slow down. Polite, impolite, or weird. Phrases 1 to 5. You have 1 more minute to do that. Well, if you smash the like button twice, Takeshi, that actually means that you undo the like. Actually, maybe not. I can't remember how YouTube works. Does that mean you undo the like? I don't know. I can't remember. So we did have a vote in chat, and the poll was, do you think that some cultures are more polite than others? Or is it just different cultures? And it seems that we're split on this issue. We're split on this issue. Some countries are more polite, 52%, but it's just different cultures, 47%. And I have to say, as a bit of an expert in this area, I have to say it is a very complicated issue. Very complicated issue. And honestly, I think there is a bit of both. It is culture, but also I think some countries are more polite than others. So let's see what we have. Could you say that again, please? Could you say that again, please? That's polite. It'd be great if you said that again, but slower, okay? That's weird. Could you repeat that a little slower, please? That's polite. Say that again, but slower. That's impolite. And repeat. That's impolite. So we have polite, weird, polite, impolite, and impolite. Hello, Pallavi. Hello, how are you doing? And hello to Kumar Gajindra, who says Indonesia. Let's move on to our final question for our quiz today. Our final question for our quiz today. Just noticed I've done something terrible there. Let me fix that. There we go. Our final question for our quiz today is asking for a pen. Have you ever been in a situation when you don't have a pen and you need to ask someone for a pen? Take a look at the options there, and I want to know which of those are polite, which are impolite, and which are weird. And for this, you have 30 seconds. And Julia Hata just rocked up. Hello there, Julia. And hello to Vladimir. You have about 10 seconds left. Some good answers here from Ashley Chen. Ashley's on the ball today. Do you know what that means? On the ball. All right. Could I trouble you for a quick pen is weird. Do you happen to have a spare pen? Do you happen to have a spare pen is polite. Would it be possible to might give a pen? That's weird. Could I borrow a pen, please? That's polite. Pass a pen over here, tar. That's impolite. So number 5 would be okay with a friend, obviously, but it's not polite. The thing about politeness is it does depend on context. So, of course, if you're speaking to a friend, probably you don't need to be as polite as when you're speaking to a stranger. Let's lose our countdown and remind ourselves of what we're doing today. So we're going to learn real English polite phrases. We're going to practice natural English pronunciation, and we are going to role play some authentic conversations. Today's lesson is about how to be polite in English. And of course, I myself am British, so we are focusing on British English as a standard. Let's talk about, first of all, with politeness, the power of words. There are many things you can do to be polite, and one of them is change the words you use. So you can see here some words. We have I want, may, might, could, can, and give me. And we have a scale here where words at the top are more polite. Now, currently, these words are not in the correct order. Currently, these words are not in the correct order. I want you to put the words in the correct order. I want you to put the words in the correct order. So for that, you have 1 minute. And 30 seconds. 1 minute and 30 seconds to put them in the correct order. So we want the most polite first, and then going down to least polite. And the words are I want, may, might, could, can, and give me. Which of those do you think is the least polite? I want, may, might, could, can, and give me. And I'm going to top up my coffee with the final drop of coffee for the day. Really having way too much coffee at the moment. You know, if you have too much coffee, it starts to have zero effect. Did you know that? I've proven it by doing it. 30 seconds, folks. We've got answers from Dreamer, Takeshi, Ashley Chen, and Sleepwalker. Get your answers in. Sleepwalker's answer is good. But it's not perfect. Dreamer's answer is pretty good. That might be it. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, I'll show you my answers. So I would say the most polite here are may and might together. And there's really no difference between may and might in terms of politeness. They are both about the same. Then after may and might, you have could. So may and might, the most polite, and then could after that. Could is still very, very polite. Let me just make a point here. People often talk about may, might, and could for possibility. Like, it may rain tomorrow, it might rain tomorrow, it could rain tomorrow. When we're talking about possibility or probability, there is no difference with may, might, and could. When we're talking about possibility, probability, there is no difference with may, might, and could. So it might rain tomorrow is not different than it may rain tomorrow. And that is not different than it could rain tomorrow. However, may I have a pen and could I have a pen, there is a little difference. Where may is more polite. May and might are more polite. So we've got may and might at the top, and then could, and then can, and then I want. So I want is a little rude, and then give me. Give me is the most direct, the most rude. Okay, so here's the order that you should have. May, might at the top, then could, can, I want, and give me. So B, C, D, E, A, F is the correct order. Might I go to the bathroom? This sounds just weird. Does it really fly? Might I go to the bathroom? Might I go to the bathroom? You know, the problem with that, Takeshi, is it sounds like you're asking permission to not to use the bathroom, but to do what you need to do in the bathroom. And that sounds strange. So really, you could say something like, might I use your restroom? Yeah, that would be fine. Might I use your restroom? Even toilet is okay. Some people consider that a bit casual to say toilet, but people say it. Like, might I use your toilet? And that's okay to say might. Sounds fine. So that's the power of words. Now, let's talk about being direct and being indirect. So as we know, English people love to be indirect, and actually being indirect can make things more polite in English. So take a look at these requests, and these requests they're not really bad. They're actually quite polite. We have the request, can you give me a spare pen? And can I have this chair? So, can you give me a spare pen in class? Maybe you say that to a classmate. And can I have this chair? Maybe you're in a cafe or a bar and you need another chair for your friends and you want to ask a table for another chair. Can I have this chair? So these are okay. They're quite polite. But often English people will make them more indirect in order to be more polite. Anyone have any ideas in the chat about how to make these more indirect? Any ideas about that? Oh, Ashley, well done. Ashley Chen's got it. Pretty much. So Ashley Chen has used the question, sorry, is this seat taken? Yeah. And I said, is this chair free? But actually, I prefer Ashley's. I think Ashley's is even more polite than mine. So Ashley said, sorry, is this seat taken? Now, notice what I mean by indirect. In this question, we don't actually say about our need, right? So we don't say anything about taking the chair, about using their chair, about borrowing their chair. All we ask is this seat taken? And of course, they understand that you want to take the chair, even though you never said it. And that's what I mean by being indirect. So, can you give me a spare pen? A way of being indirect. Do you have one? Do you have a spare pen? Now, notice the answer to this could be, yes, I have a spare pen, but you're not having it. But of course, when you ask an English person, do you have a spare pen? They understand that it means you want to borrow a spare pen. And this is what I mean by being indirect. We're not actually asking to borrow a pen. We're just asking, do they have one? But we understand that when someone says this, they want to borrow a pen. Now, you might consider this a bit annoying that you have to play these guessing games about what people want, but the Japanese do it more than British people do, so relax. All right, so that's direct and indirect requests. Let's have another look at a way of being very polite, and this is something called hedging. Has everyone heard of the concept of hedging? Let's talk about hedging. So hedging is when you make something less absolute, make it less certain, less absolute, in order to be more polite. The word hedge actually comes from the idea of making safe financial investments. So when you're hedging your bets, hedging your investments, it means you're spending your money in a way that protects your money. So you don't put all your eggs in one basket. In other words, you hedge it. Now, hedging, when we talk about speaking, that means being less certain, less definite, so that you sound more polite. So if we have a look at the first one, it says, I don't agree. And if we hedge that, then it becomes, I don't entirely agree. So notice the first one is just direct. And actually, this is what I mean. I mean, I don't agree. But I say, I don't entirely agree. Now, in fact, maybe I entirely disagree. That's not the point. The point is, I'm being polite. I'm being polite. Okay? And this is called hedging. So have a look at the other ones. See if you can you practice some hedging there? Vitamin D cures depression. Can someone hedge that? Can you practice hedging with vitamin D cures depression? Do remember to check out down below this video. We have a wonderful community on Discord, and the link to join that community is down below. If you join that community, you could submit homework once per week, and we give feedback and correction based on that homework live on Saturdays. So check that out down below the video. Join our Discord server. It's free. And everyone's there. Okay, so let's see what you guys think about this and what you've come up with for hedging vitamin D cures depression. Vitamin D cures depression to some degree, says Takeshi. Not bad. There's an opinion that vitamin D cures depression, says Sleepwalker. Vitamin D can cure depression, says Dreamer. All right, and here's my answer. Vitamin D most likely helps with depression. So if you notice, I've changed the main verb. Now we're saying it helps. And also we've got this idea of most likely. So when I say this, it's not that I want change the content necessarily of what I'm saying. It's just that I want to be more polite. So instead of making a very direct statement, it cures depression, we're saying, well, it most likely helps with depression. Does it cure depression? Well, yes, actually, it cures depression in some circumstance. All right, next, we need to take a rest for this one. Might be a good idea to take a rest. Might be a good idea to take a rest. So this is the idea of hedging. It's really important in British English to be polite. So let's do some more practice with hedging, folks. Here you have 5 sentences. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the chat. I would like you now to try and practice hedging. Make those sentences more polite. If you're watching this video from home, then you could comment down below with your comments about how to make these more polite. Drop us a comment down below. For this, I'll give you 2 minutes to do that activity. Starting now. Oh, there's another one. There's actually 6. Let me just figure out how to fix that. There we go. Donk. Okay, there you go. There are 6. Bonus number 6. Julia, you've gone the wrong way there. You've kind of you've used less hedging. We want to make them more polite. The idea here is to use hedging, which means you make something less 100% so that it's more polite. Okay? Yeah, Takeshi, I don't think about that's good either. That what you're using there is something that expresses surprise. You're joking, aren't you? So I wouldn't call that hedging. Actually, that could upset someone even more. Okay, Sleepwalker, that's a good one for number 2. This coffee is most likely the best in town. That's good. That's good, Ashley. Yeah, I'm not sure that's 100% true. That's good. I'm not sure that's 100% true. So that's a good one there from Ashley. I'm not sure that's 100% true. Have we got a good one for number 2 yet? Yeah, Sleepwalker. The coffee is most likely the best in town. That's a good one for number 2. Takeshi coming up with number 1. That's cow's feces. I think some of you guys don't quite understand the idea of hedging because that sounds worse. That's ruder. So we want to say, rather than that's not true, we want to say something like, that's not entirely true. Or, I think that might be wrong. You get it? Yes, Dreamer, exactly. Number 3. I think you might be wrong. So for some reason, I didn't do a new page for this one. So let's correct this together. Right, so for that's not true, we're going to go for, I'm not entirely sure about that. This coffee is the best in town. I like the most likely. This coffee is most likely the best in town. You're wrong. Don't really agree with you there. August is normally the hottest month. All ravens are black. Almost all ravens are black, or all ravens are normally black. You can find white ravens, by the way. So this statement is false. This statement is probably not true. Notice the negation there, not true, which does actually sound more polite to say not true rather than false. All right. So there's the answers to that one. My answers. Anyway, obviously there's many different ways of doing this, many different ways of doing the hedging. All right. Let's talk about some special phrases that you can use to be really polite. These are some of my favorite ways to be polite in English. Now, the phrases are not in the correct order, so you need to put these phrases in the correct order. Put the words in the correct order. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And for this, you have 2 minutes. According to my experience, August might be the hottest season. That's not bad. It's not season, though. It's month. How about in my experience? In my experience, August is normally the hottest month. In my experience, August is normally the hottest month, Maria. How are you doing, by the way, Maria? Was it you who said you were involved in some flooding in Acapulco? Rearrange the words, folks, to make ultra polite phrases. These are really useful phrases. All right, some excellent responses there in the chat. You got about 30 seconds left. You guys are coming up with some weird stuff today, I've got to say. Rennie, what is that? I hope it's not too much trouble to ask about your age. That's not really how you would use this phrase, right? So it's more like, I hope it's not too much trouble. I hope it's not too much trouble to ask for a cup of coffee. I hope it's not too much trouble to ask if I could use your washroom, right? I hope it's not too much trouble to ask you to come and work on Friday, right? Right, so here they are in the correct order. The ultra polite special phrases. These are the solutions. Would it all be possible if you help me organise the party? Could I ask you to help me organise the party? Would you be so kind as to give me a hand with the party? I hope it's not too much trouble to ask if you could help me with the party. All right, so some excellent phrases there. So far in the stream today, we've really focused on the words. We've really focused on using words to sound polite. So polite phrases, different words, hedging, being indirect. Now, there are other things which are important when we consider being polite, and one of those is, let me demonstrate. What do we call that? How about this? Thanks. 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 That's right, Ashley Chen. We're talking about intonation. So we're going to practice this a little bit. I'd like you to listen to the same phrase said in 5 different ways. I'd like you to listen to the same phrase said in 5 different ways. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I want you to list them in order of politeness. This is quite difficult. So you will need to listen quite hard. The phrase is pen, please. So notice I've taken all the words out. We're not using any fancy words here. Just very simply, pen, please. As in, pass me a pen, or give me a pen, or can I lend a pen, or give me my pen, or give me your pen, or whatever it is. So we're taking all the words out, and we're just going to focus on the intonation. You will listen to it 5 times, and I want you to put them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the order of politeness. So which one is the most polite? For example, is 3 the most polite? Is 1 the most polite? You put that at the start. All right? Okay, let's listen. Here is number 1. Pen, please. All right, and here is number 2. Pen, please. And number 3. Pen, please. And number 4. Pen, please. And number 5. Pen, please. Okay, let's try that again. Number 1. Pen, please. Number 2. Pen, please. Number 3. Pen, please. Number 4. Pen, please. And number 5. Pen, please. So what do you think about that? There might not be an exact order here, but you can have a go. It's kind of interesting that 2 people are saying that number 1 is the most polite. I definitely don't agree with that. Pen, please. Pen, please. Pen, please. Pen, please. Pen, please. I'm going to play them all one more time. Pen, please. Pen, please. Pen, please. Pen, please. Pen, please. Okay. So, from my perspective, the correct order is 5, 4, 1, 3, 2, with 5 being the rudest. So in order of politeness, it's 2, 3... No, sorry. 5 being the most polite. Duh. 5 being the most polite. So 5, 4, 1, 3, 2. So in order of rudest, we've got 2, 3, 1, 4, 5. 5 is the most polite. 4 is actually the most natural to me. So 4 is kind of my limit. 5 sounds a bit too much, a bit forced, really. 1 is quite neutral, and then 3 is rude and 2 is rude. I mean, 3 and 2 are almost aggressive, actually. So let me play that again so you can hear that. Pen, please. So that's neutral. Pen, please. Right? And then we have the rude ones. Pen, please. Pen, please. Pen, please. Pen, please. And then we have the polite ones. Number 4 is my favourite because it's the most natural. Pen, please. Pen, please. Pen, please. Pen, please. Pen, please. Too much. Someone's been having too much sugar with number 5. But otherwise it's fine. Sounds maybe like an American waiter or something. But you're saying please is a polite word. Yes, but Pallavi, the point is, it's not only the words, right? So let's take a polite phrase, such as please could you please would it be possible for you to give me would it be possible please would you please would it all be possible would it at all be possible for me to use your toilet, right? So the words here, and this is especially for Pallavi, the words here seem very polite. Please, would it all be possible for me to use your toilet? Right? The words sound polite. But check this out, okay? And tell me if this sounds polite. Please, would it at all be possible for me to use your toilet? Does that sound polite? How about this? Please, would it at all be possible for me to use your toilet? Please, would it at all be possible for me to use your toilet? Please, would it at all be possible for me to use your toilet? Is that polite? It doesn't sound polite to me. It sounds like you're bored. So we need the intonation. Please, would it all be possible for me to use your toilet? Would it all be possible for me to use your toilet? That's a good way to practice intonation, by the way. Would it all be possible for me to use your toilet? That's right. When you learn a language, you have to learn to sing, folks. Sing. So that was to demonstrate the importance of intonation. Now, we're going to do a bit of dictation, because I know you guys love dictation. So I'm going to say 3 phrases for disagreement, and I want you to type the words you hear. I will say 3 phrases for disagreement, and I want you to type the words you hear. All right? Number 1. I see your point, but... Number 2. I'm not entirely sure about that. And number 3. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm going to say all of those again. Number 1. I see your point, but... Number 2. I'm not entirely sure about that. And number 3. I understand where you're coming from, but... All right, so here are the answers for that. You can take a look at those on the screen. And we're going to do some pronunciation practice. Ooh, I'm undaunted. Where are you coming from? Undaunted. I'm undaunted where you're coming from. That's an interesting one, and I've never heard that before. I'm undaunted by your origin. Sounds interesting. That's right, Pallavi. Please does not make you polite. Please, if you say please, that is more polite than not saying please. However, you can say please and still be impolite, right? Like, please get out of my way. That's not polite, right? All right. Are you ready for some pronunciation practice, everybody? And guess what? It's mouth cam. And mouth cam when I have chapped lips because it's so cold. Sorry about that. But hey ho, it's mouth cam. Are you ready for some mouth cam pronunciation? So listen to the sounds, replay the sounds in your head, and try to say the phrase in the same way as me. So you're focusing on the sounds, not the words. Don't focus on the words. Focus on the sounds. All right? Okay. Number one. I see your point, but Number two. I'm not entirely sure about that. I'm not entirely sure about that. And number three. I understand where you're coming from, but all right, so that was our mouth cam for disagreements. Now we are going to move on. Oh, you got ads just now? That's interesting. Is it because I insert ad? I don't know if I delay ad. YouTube is actually automatically putting ads in the stream now. So I've just realized there is a way for me to say no ads for 10 minutes. So I've just said no ads for 10 minutes. Actually, for the live streams, I'd probably prefer no ads at all on the actual live and just have the ads on replayment. Besides, I make basically no money from the ads anyway. It's very little. We don't have enough. I need like 100 times the amount of viewers to make money from the ads, really. Okay, anyway, let's move on. So, phrases for suggestions next. Phrases for suggestions. I will say 3 phrases for suggestions. These are polite phrases. I want you to listen and type the words you hear. So listen and type the words you hear in the chat. All right. What does the third sentence mean, says Pallavi. You mean, I understand where you're coming from, but it's the same as I see your point, but. So, for example, Pallavi, if you say, I think we should all drink coffee because it wakes you up more, and I disagree, I can say, I understand where you're coming from, but tea just has more health benefits, so I think we should drink tea. So it's just a polite way of saying you disagree. Okay. All right, so moving on. Phrases for suggestions. Type the words that you hear. Number 1. Have you considered trying... Number 2. What do you think about... Number 3. You may want to try... Well done. You guys are very good at this. Very, very good. So here are the answers. Take a look at them. And in a moment, we will do some pronunciation of those. Take a look what you've got there. Notice here I put the form in. Don't know why. I guess I just felt like it made them into complete phrases. So the following form will be ing. It is actually a noun. Have you considered trying chocolate? Have you considered trying eating more chocolate? Like that. Right then, let's do some pronunciation. All right. Number 1. Have you considered trying... Number 2. What do you think about... Number 3. You may want to try... All right, and moving on. So moving on here to phrases for requests. Phrases for requests. I can't say it one more time, Pallavi, but you can just go to the video afterwards and check it out. We've got quite a lot to get through, and we've already been streaming for an hour, so I'm going to move on. We're going to do phrases for requests. I will read the phrase, and I want you to type the words that you hear. And we'll go right into this with number 1. I'd really appreciate your help with this. I'll say that again. I think I said it a bit weird, actually. Number 1. I'd really appreciate your help with this. Yeah, well done, Sleepwalker. That's perfect. Well done, Anawat. That's perfect. All right, number 2. Would you mind helping me when you have a moment? Yep, yours pretty much was right, Pallavi. Just get that contraction there with I would. So the contraction with I'd. Make sure you have a capital I and contract I'd. And hello to Nyaki. And number 3. Could I possibly ask your help with something? Right, and there are the answers on your screens now. These are phrases to make polite requests. Just check your answers and then we'll do a bit of pronunciation. So get ready for pronunciation. Warm up. The pronunciation that we do here works like this. You listen. You repeat the phrase that you heard in your head, focusing on the sounds. And after 3 seconds, you try to say it. All right. Number 1. I'd really appreciate your help with this. Number 2. Would you mind helping me when you have a moment? And number 3. Could I possibly ask your help with something? All right, and moving on to language for complaints. Has anyone been in a situation when they need to complain? Actually, complaining is one of the more difficult things to do, isn't it? People find it quite difficult to complain. And of course, the British are notorious for being very bad at complaining, as in British people don't know how to complain. They find it very difficult to express a negative opinion. So let's have a look at some phrases for complaining. These are quite long, so this is quite difficult. All right, number 1. I'm sorry to trouble you, but there seems to be a problem with... Number 2. Excuse me, I hate to mention this, but it seems that Number 3. Regretfully, I require some assistance. I've got a bit of concern about... All right, and your answers are coming in 5 seconds. 2, 1, and the answers now are on the screen, so you can take a look at those. These are useful phrases for complaints. Quite complicated and quite long phrases. Complaining is one of the more difficult skills. It's a difficult communicative skill, and obviously language plays a big part in that. As I said before, native speakers have some issues with complaining. We're not always very good at complaining. But here's some useful phrases for that. Let's do some pronunciation practice with big mouth. So here we go for complaining. Number 1. I'm sorry to trouble you, but there seems to be a problem with... Number 2. Excuse me, I hate to mention this, but it seems that... Number 3. Regretfully, I require some assistance. I've got a bit of a concern about... Pallavi says she doesn't understand the third one. So the third one, it's just a way of saying you have a problem, just like all the others, Pallavi. They all have the same function. So, for example, number 1, I'm sorry to trouble you, but there seems to be a problem with the shower. And number 3, regretfully, I require some assistance. I've got a bit of a concern about the shower. It's not producing hot water. It's always cold. I wonder if you could take a look at that for me. Is that possible? All right. So, useful language for complaints. And our final thing in this section... Oh no, there's another one. So we got interruptions and then one more. So let's go for interruptions first. So interruption is when you have something to say and you need to interrupt someone to say it. So let's have the useful phrases for that. Get ready in the chat. Number 1. Sorry to cut in, but I have to say... Number 2. If I could just jump in a moment. Number 3. Apologies for the interruption. I just need to say... Okay, so there are the phrases for interruptions. And we'll quickly do the pronunciation there. Number 1. Sorry to cut in, but I have to say... Number 2. If I could just jump in for a moment. Number 3. Apologies for the interruption. I just need to say... All right, and now we really are moving on to the last part of this section, which is phrases to end conversations. Have you ever been in a conversation and you want to end that conversation? In other words, you're stuck talking to somebody and actually you want to be somewhere else doing something else, or in fact, maybe you have to be somewhere else doing something else. So how do we get out of a conversation? So let's have a look at some useful language for exiting a conversation. All right. Again, I will read the phrases and I want you in the chat to type the words you hear. All right. Number 1. Sorry, I have to get going right now. And Fofo Biza says, great to listen. Greetings from Germany. Hello, Fofo. How are you doing? Welcome to the channel. Smash that like button, please, Fofo. Hit subscribe. And join us. Thanks for the support. Number 2. I have a few things to be getting on with. And number 3. I have to go right now, but I'll see you later. All right, and the answer's there on the screen. You can see there the useful phrases for ending conversations. Take a look at those. If you have any questions about those phrases, you can ask in the chat. There's an interesting one there from Pallavi. I have to go Rihanna right now, but I'll see you later. I have to go and hang out with Rihanna, but I'll see you later, okay? Brilliant. I think that's autocorrect, right? All right then, folks, let's do the pronunciation practice, and then we'll move on to our final section. Okay, so language for ending conversations. Number 1. Sorry, I have to get going right now. Number 2. I have a few things to be getting on with. Number 3. I have to go right now, but I'll see you later. All right, folks, that was our pronunciation section. Now we are moving into our role play. So in this section of the lesson, I will give you a situation and I want you guys to type what you would say in the chat. I will give you a situation and I want you to type what you would say in the chat. I want you to be polite. Try to be polite. What would you say in this situation? And in response to Hint's question, get going. Get going just means leave. Like, go somewhere else. Get going is literally, it's like start leaving. I need to start my journey somewhere else. Okay, so here's our first role play situation. What would you say in this situation? Try to be very polite. This is about a restaurant. You're in a restaurant and they've added a 20% service charge to the bill, which you think is too much. So type in the chat, what could you say about that? By the way, this situation actually really does happen in the UK. It's kind of a common situation in the UK, actually, at the moment, and elsewhere. So adding a service charge to the bill. Now, a service charge is what we used to call a tip, which means it was like an optional thing you could add to the bill. But now sometimes restaurants actually put that service charge on your bill. And maybe you think 20% is too much. You know, if I've paid £100 for a meal, like, do I need to pay another £20 for a service charge? Ashley Chen says, I heard you really don't have to tip in the UK. Actually, Ashley, it depends. In restaurants and cafes, tipping has become more important than in the past. Takeshi says, excuse me, I believe there's something wrong with the bill. Kind of. It's a good start, but then wrong with the bill? That's quite a funny way to say it. Because actually, they probably really do intend to put that on there. Sorry, I think maybe there's a mistake with the bill, okay? What if it's not a mistake, though? Maybe this is not a mistake. Excuse me, I hate to mention this, but it seems that my bill is not correct. I really like the start of that, Dreamer. Yes, and Sleepwalker says, what if we reduce the service charge? Yeah. So, okay, I'll tell you what I would say. I would say, sorry, I hate to mention this, but could you remove the service charge from the bill? And then, if I want to tip, I will tip. But I'm not going to pay the tip as an obligatory service charge, right? So I would politely ask them to remove it. And then, if I want to tip, then I'll tip. I like that, Iñaki. Would you mind if you review the bill, please? As per my calculations, there might be a misunderstanding. There might be a misunderstanding. The misunderstanding is you think I'm going to tip 20% and I'm not. Okay, folks, let's move on to the next situation. What would you say in this situation? Try to be very polite. Type your answers in the chat. Your neighbor plays loud music every Friday at 1 a.m. and it keeps your family awake. Your neighbor plays loud music every Friday at 1 a.m. and it keeps your family awake. What would you say in that situation? And hello to Shaikh Arif. How are you doing? So what could you say in this situation? I presume talking to your neighbor. What could you say talking to your neighbor in a situation like this? Sleepwalker says, could you follow the rules to not play music after 11 p.m, please? Whoa, you guys are going in hard. Would it be necessary I call the police? uh, obviously the police can come out, but perhaps before we talk about calling police, maybe we can try to just ask first, you know? Would you mind turning the volume down a bit, please? That's quite good, Julia, but it's kind of a one-time scenario. You want to say something that represents the idea that you need a habitual change. Yeah, that's good, Anna. I like that. Excuse me, I hate to mention this, but it seems you might be playing the music a bit too loud. Yeah, I think that's a good one. Yeah, because we can go on then. So, excuse me, I hate to mention this, but the music that you play at 1 a.m. is really loud. And every Friday, my family have problems sleeping. So, would it be possible for you to not play loud music at 1 a.m. on a Friday? You could perhaps use headphones or turn the music down. Or maybe you could play loud music at a different time, a more reasonable hour of the day. Would that be possible? And then if they don't do it, you can call the police next time. Okay, moving on. Next situation. What would you say in this situation? Try to be very polite. Your colleague is halfway through a 20-minute story about their new cute dog, but you have a class starting in 2 minutes. So what would you say in this situation? Your colleague is halfway through a 20-minute story about their new cute dog, but you have a class starting in 2 minutes. Do you happen to know where the police station is? I need to report about the noise pollution. Yeah, the problem is, Takeshi, if it's your neighbor, you want to be a little bit careful, because once you have problems with your neighbors, it's a big problem. So you never want to have problems with your neighbors, you know? I'd love to listen to your story, but I have to start the class. Yeah, that's really good, Sleepwalker. So one way of keeping things polite is just tell people the reason. And if you tell people the reason, then often they'll understand. So giving that reason, look, I'm sorry, I've got to go to my class, but you should tell me that story another time. Yeah, and Julia's got one as well. Yeah, would you mind sharing your story another time? Because class is coming. I think it is good to mention the reason there that, I've got class coming, so could you tell me that another time? All right, well done, folks. Let's move on to the next situation. So the shower in your hotel room only seems to produce boiling hot water, scalding hot water in your hotel room. What would you do about that? Your dog's lovely. Anyway, my class is about to start. Catch you later. I'm not so sure about that, Takeshi, because it sounds like you're trying to get out of it. Like, I don't really care about your 20-minute story. I think you need to say something about like, hey, finish that story later. Let's finish that story later. I've got to go right now because I've got a class starting right now. But we'll resume the second half another time. All right, so the shower in your hotel room only seems to produce boiling hot water. How would you complain about that? Could you please send the staff to mend my shower, says Manuel. Very good. I'd like you to send someone to fix the shower, please. Yeah, that's perfectly reasonable, Asmana. I was wondering if you had another room where there are no problems with water. You could say that. Here's what I would say. Sorry to trouble you. It seems like there's a problem with the shower in the room. So, from what we can tell, it only produces hot water, boiling hot water. So notice I used hedging there and I was indirect. From what we can tell, it seems to only produce boiling hot water. And by that point, the receptionist, if they're good, will send someone to investigate. All right, moving on. What would you say in this situation? Try to be very polite. Your vegetarian pizza, which has just been handed to you by the delivery guy, seems to have chicken on it. So your vegetarian pizza, which has just been handed to you by the delivery guy, seems to have chicken on it. What could you say about that? Oh, that's great, Anawat. Regretfully, I require some assistance. I've got a bit of a concern about the water systems in my room. That's brilliant, Anawat. Well done. That's a nice one. And Samia Ali says, hello. Hello, Samia. Smash that like button if you are an English learner. And welcome. Sleepwalker says, sorry to bother you, but I ordered another kind of pizza. Yeah, okay. I think you need to be a bit more specific, Sleepwalker, to mention exactly the problem. Okay, and either... Oh, Ashley Chen says... Sorry, excuse me. I noticed there's some chicken on my pizza and I'm allergic to it. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, with food issues, allergy can be a good one, right? It just gets you out of it. Like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm allergic to chicken. Because people have to take allergies very seriously. Yeah. Okay. Well done, folks. All right. This is the last situation, the last one. What would you say in this situation? Try to be very polite. So, the teacher of your child claims your child is performing great at school, but you're sure they're being lazy and capable of much more. So, tell me, folks, how would you say this to the teacher? The teacher claims your child is performing great at school, but you're sure they're being lazy and capable of much more. What do you think about that? And this is our final role play of the day. Takeshi says, the parents are definitely Asian. Yeah, I when I wrote this scenario, I actually thought about making it the opposite scenario. And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be interesting to do it this way? You might be looking on the bright side about my child. Interesting. Excuse me, Miss Smith, I'm in doubt if really you're talking about my son. It'd be a miracle if you're telling me the truth. Greta Thunberg, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you? 100% for sure, Asian parents. Okay, I feel like I'm causing some sort of PTSD for people in the chat now, so we're going to move on. I should have done the opposite. They say your child is... Because in the West, we have the opposite problem, that the teachers say your child is performing badly, and the parents are like, what? My son is a genius. How could you possibly say that? He certainly does not pull people's hair and throw chairs and say profanity in the class. You're just a bad teacher. Okay, here's the homework, folks. This is the homework from Saturday. The deadline is for next week. If you would like to do that, you have to record a little audio with your predictions about the year 2100. It is a 3-minute audio. And to do that, you must join our chat community. The link to join our chat community is in the chat. And you can send me your audio. We correct those audios every Saturday. And here's the links from today's class. If you have any questions about English or questions about today's class or just questions in general, you can ask me right now live in chat and I will do my best to answer your questions about English. I need to make sure I turn the ads automator off on these things. I don't really want this thing doing ads on live streams, to be honest. And can we say good luck to Pallavi in her exams? Good luck, Pallavi, in your exams. There you go. Good luck, Pallavi, in your exams. See, Manuel is coming at this from a Western perspective, where teachers often will tell you that the children are doing very well because they don't want to have problems with the parent. The teachers just want to be lazy, right? So they say, oh yeah, your child's great. And actually they are lazy. There you go. Good luck, Pallavi, with all kinds of amazing emojis. Thank you to ChatGPT for that. Sleepwalker says, are Mr., Mrs., Miss, Ms still used frequently? Yes, but not in speaking so much. But certainly in writing, yes. Mr., Mrs., Miss, and Ms, yeah. In writing, yeah. Mr. is obviously the most common. And then Ms and Mrs, depending. Miss doesn't get used that much. Melody Shorts Music says, hello, new viewer from the Philippines. Great, Melody. For you, it's super important that you smash that like button right now. Hit subscribe, because you've just found the best English learning channel on the internet. Well done. Samia Ali says, what is the creativity? Samia, do you mean, what does creativity mean? Creativity is the ability to think differently. So I'll say that again. I've got all this good luck Pallavi stuff. Creativity is the ability to think differently. That is actually what creativity is. So it's being able to have ideas that other people don't have. Renit says, I've watched many live lessons on Instagram and YouTube, but your lives are the most interesting from all. Thank you so much, Renit. That's a lovely thing to say. I do try my best. Have you been told you seem to be James McAvoy's doppelganger? James a what now? Oh, that guy. Maybe I have a similar nose. And eyes a bit similar. Not that similar, though. So similar. Ashley Chen says, would please kindly tell me, is that overly polite? Could you please kindly tell me, it's polite, but it's okay. Could you please kindly tell me, is okay. And would you please kindly, We can even do this with just the infinitive there, like that, rather than with tell me. And yeah, it's good. Could you please kindly point me in the direction of the bank? Would you please kindly make me a cup of coffee with half a cream, 2 spoons of sugar, a dash of cinnamon, and would you please kindly stir the spoon in a clockwise direction 5 times? Thank you. That's right. Mrs. is a married woman and Miss is an unmarried woman. But often people don't use Miss anymore, but they use Ms in writing, that is, in writing. In speaking, you can use Miss, even when it's a married woman, actually. But in writing, people use Ms. Creativity is the ability to create a different thing that's unknown. Is that what you mean, Maria? Broadly speaking, the most creative person is the person who comes up with ideas that no one else has. It is possible to be too creative, by the way. Are you a fan of Marmite? You know what, Takeshi? I've never really experimented with Marmite, so I don't know. It's not something that I've really give a good go. I can understand why people might like it, because I like that sort of yeasty smell. So it's possible that I would like Marmite, actually. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you do smash that like button right now if you have enjoyed our free class. We do these live streams on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. UK time and Saturdays at 2 p.m. UK time. We do 2 streams every week. And on top of that, you can join our community on Discord. Look down below the video, bit.ly/englearnchat, and you can freely join our chat community where you can talk to all the amazing people who are learning English together, and not just English, because we don't just learn English here, we learn everything. The notes for today's lesson will be in the chat. I did just try to paste them in the chat, but ended up pasting a load of emojis instead. Been Professor, been learning polite English. I'll see you on Saturday. Have a lovely week, folks. Bye-bye now.